Okay, here we go. And across the audience is a packed room.
There are other suppliers. There's Eco, there's Cleanaway, there's Full Cycle Organics.
Never left.
Well, yes, but we're
We have a purse that was up on one of the tables, if anyone has left that around. Must belong to a lady when I see all the rubbish in it. Huh? I don't know how they fit that much in there. Up the table.
More people arrived.
We just have one more load of chairs to come in and everybody should be comfortable there. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to this public meeting in Lidcombe this morning. We don't have public meetings around here too much. too often, but I'm very pleased that everyone's taken the time out of your busy program to be able to come to this meeting to discuss the proposal of a rubbish tip at 109A Church Street, Lidcombe. At the outset, I just wish to state that our proceedings today are being taped for the opportunity for future follow-ups as required. My name is Paul Garrard, and I'm a councillor on the Cumberland Council. I represent the South Granville ward, which runs between Guildford Railway Station and Auburn Railway Station. For those who don't know my background, I had 6 terms as Lord Mayor of Parramatta and a healthy term on both councils due to the amalgamation. My role today is to get the ball rolling and to keep some sort of organised agenda to give you an overview of the current picture and circumstances regarding this proposal. I've left my glasses at home, so I'm trying to read this in my wife's glasses. I'd like to welcome Helen Hughes and each of the working party which has enabled this event to occur. Well, today we're going to have kindergarten rules. Put your hand up and I will attempt to have you heard. Speakers, well, look, you've got 5 minutes to speak only, and if there's something you want to talk about later on, I don't mind, but we'll just cut it back to 3 minutes. There will be the opportunity for intermittent questions during the course of the meeting as well. Well, this proposal is about a development at 109A Church Street, Lidcombe. The development is for the demolition of existing buildings and construction and operation of an organic waste transfer station, integrated development section 43B of the Protection of the Environment Operations Act 1997. The proposal is designated development under the provisions of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Regulations. It is valued at $4.9 million. The application was lodged on the 13th of the 3rd, 2023, and it was referred to various government departments on the 23rd of the 5th, 23 as well. And I suppose the question I'm hearing you say, what is designated development? Designated development, well, it refers to developments that are of high impact developments, such as likely to cause general pollution, for example, or are located in or near an environmentally sensitive area, for instance, wetlands. There are 2 ways a development can be categorised as designated development. It can be under what they call the class of development, which is listed in Schedule 3 of the Environment Planning and Assessment Act. And I've got that here. It's a lovely piece of reading of about 19 pages. It tells you what designated development is. It goes on and on. But generally, those listed in Schedule 3 has a list of activities identified as such, which would be chemical factories, large marinas, quarries, sewage treatment works, and waste transfer facilities. So that is what we are dealing with. Under this application, there is further comment about the activity of this centre. It will cover food waste, which covers household organic putricide materials, waste from litter bins collected on behalf of local councils, manure and night soil, disposable nappies, incontinence pads and sanitary napkins, food waste, animal waste, and etc., etc. So anything that can break down is putricide. So that is what we're talking about in this particular application. Now, the consent authority for a designated development is not Cumberland City Council. The consent authority will be the Central Sydney Planning Panel. Sadly, councillors do not deal with this issue. However, of the 5 people on the panel, 2 are Cumberland councillors, Councillor Elmore and Councillor Hammond. The other 3 people on the panel are state government appointees. There's also a 38-page rule book on how the panel operates. So if you have some time for a bit of light reading, as I did yesterday, I offer it to you. Now, the rules are spelled out for this development to be determined within 250 days until a decision is reached. 250 days. The clock is ticking as we speak. But, having read that yesterday, it also says that this period can be extended due to various circumstances. And I think it'll be up to the councillors to pursue that and ensure that every opportunity is given to enable this matter to be thoroughly addressed. Now, importantly, Council first was advised of this development in June of 2021. A pre-lodgement meeting was held between the applicant and the Council. I read the minutes of that meeting, and sadly, I think in my humble opinion, Council took a rather lenient approach in terms of the advice given to the applicant. Staff also advised me that the 3 councillors representing the Regents Park ward were advised of the application back in 2021. Those councillors back in 21 were Ned Addy, George Campbell and Councillor Cunn. The only Regents Park councillor still on the council is Councillor Cunn, but it's that old, it's been around for 2 years. The application undertook a community consultation, I think back in November 22, which turned out that only one person, this was more of an insult rather than a consult. Very few people. They put out a consultation with a 200-metre radius from the spot of the development. You'd have more people in Rookwood picking up that message than you would the people that it actually was supposed to cover. Now, Council then extended the consultation thanks to the efforts of Councillor Hughes, and under that demand the extension goes to, I think, the 15th of July, getting close to where we are today. The 14th of July. So undoubtedly there will be questions that people have to ask today, and I want to make it very clear, none of us here are experts on what's going on. But we do have the environmental impact statement, and everything that we know about this application is in that statement. If the statement's wrong, well, so be it. I'm told by council staff that there are issues of inaccuracies in the EIS that will need to be addressed as well. Now, that's the overview of where we're at the moment, and then the next step is this public meeting. We thought it was important to have a public meeting. Council's consultation, even though it's gone wider through what Helen has been able to achieve and longer, it still doesn't go out in various languages, for instance, so that the wider community have a full appreciation of what is proposed. Helen's a local resident, and I'm proud. She's proud of her area. Her family's grown up here, she's grown up here, and she's worked with locals to pull this meeting together. So it's my pleasure to ask Helen to address you right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's lovely to see so many people here today and to be responsive to the letter that I did put out. At the outset too, I'd like to appreciate John Muntz being here. He is the president, of course, here of Dooleys, and to thank him for the availability of this room for today. and of course Stephen Yang, who is here from Lidcombe RSL, and of course all of you as part of the community are critical in this situation. So ridiculously, I'm unable to have a discussion as a councillor, neither could Paul. So everything about this DA is being said as a concerned resident. And of course, as Paul's just said, I'm a lifelong resident of Lidcombe, and I feel very comfortable as far as raising concerns and discuss any matters. And the amenity for residents is critical. Now, as per the letter I delivered, there is a comprehensive information for the public to review. It is just ridiculous, the amount of contacts of material out there. I did not, I'm putting this out there very clearly, I did not make that information political, and disappointingly someone made a notation on Facebook, which I don't go on to, but anyway, and commented about us as OLC, which is the group we're called. It's called our local community. And this message read, "So everyone, this is another attempt by OLC to stir things up and fool residents. As someone mentioned above, it is an organic waste transfer station, which is food and green waste." Now, here is a screenshot of the address, which 99.5% of residents will realise it's in an industrial area of Lidcombe, next to the train line, not far from the other recycling centre for metal toward Arthur Street. Close to all of the other industrial features in Lidcombe, including the fish processing centre. You must be kidding. Why not have a motion to close down all industrial buildings and properties in Lidcombe? Now that's what was put out on Facebook. Ridiculous. And frankly, I found that insulting and just ridiculously stupid, because the author obviously hadn't bothered to go and even look at anything, and has made very misleading intent of that. Community engagement is really critical, and I did not write on the letter I put out on Council's letterhead, as I wanted to speak as a concerned resident. I couldn't have put it on Council's letterhead. The intention of today was to bring people together to discuss these matters associated with the DA. The detailed documentation is very difficult in Council's tracking, and that's why I've written that link on the letter, and it's huge for people to go to. It's also very convoluted. There's various documents, and some of which are listed more than once. That makes it more difficult. They're very long documents. I've brought the environmental impact statement today and just had a copy over there. It's almost 200 pages. That's just one document. The documentation should be a fact-finding mission. However, even in that EIS, there's contradictory information throughout, and other documents insufficient in their content. And I felt that this material provided to Council was just a sham. They should have been sent back and told to make it clearer and for people. It is just so unreasonable. In general, some of the issues of concern are the traffic issues, the timing of the proposed operations, the potential odour, and understanding of what actually is organic. Paul's just covered that. And the amenity of the community and subsequent consequences. Yes, the site is zoned industrial, but to have a waste transfer station within such a close proximity to a residential area is just outrageous, and it does take away from the amenity of the residential area. As an aside, there will be a Lidcombe Town Centre upgrade shortly, and there's been a $9 million funding put towards that. So how will the amenity of a town centre, most of it is on the south side, some will be on the north side, how will that waste transfer station affect our town centre, either on the north or the south? How much outdoor dining will there be with the potential of smell and that sort of thing? The amenity just is out the door. Regardless of any documentation provided, experience of other waste stations, there is always wafting odours, and it might not be necessarily in the building, though it probably will, but certainly the trucks all driving by, and those sorts of flow-on effects. And of course, to clarity of organic waste, but Paul's just covered that in very generalist terms. We have a significant amount of, if we have a significant amount of submissions, this will then only be a starting block, because then procedurally council will need to probably receive additional documentation from the applicant. I do find it ridiculous that this is not all available before it goes out to consultation, because it's only half the message effectively. And then procedurally, if there are over 10 submissions, the panel will need to have a consultation process, and unfortunately their consultation is just an online arrangement. It's not even a face-to-face or a full-on discussion. That's very upsetting. The experts on the panel are not locals either, and so the procedure of not being locals, only consulting online but not engaging in the area, further separates the reality of the proposal with the concerns of the community. So as residents against this proposal, we need to make some noise, and plenty of it. And we, as a collective, will need to bat on. So we will move forward now with any comments and discussions, but at the outset of that, I'd like for Tony to come and make a word. Tony is the resident who is very close, and the person who contacted me and said, Helen, I'm really concerned about this, and alerted me to the circumstances. So it's from him. And then there's a few others that are around here that we've got together as a collective to start the ball rolling, pardon the pun. Yeah.
Tony?
Okay, look, thank you so much, Councillors Garrard and Hughes, for taking up the challenge and on this sort of ongoing fight that we're going to have. This proposal is, look, firstly, I'm a resident, 25 years of Lidcombe, live in Rawson Street, a stone's throw away from where this horrible thing is being proposed. As I said, it's ill-conceived, with a lack of evidence, and I think Helen and Paul have also highlighted that, but it stinks. And the residents that know about it are angry. We're angry. You know about it. There's a whole bunch of people that don't know about it. I've been door knocking. So they don't know about the development. I think Paul's mentioned, you know, the waste aspects of what it is, but I just want to pull out a few things. The manure and night soil, disposable nappies, incontinence pads, sanitary napkins, animal waste, grit of screenings from sewerage treatment systems that have been dewatered. Shit. That's what we're getting. Shit. Right? It's not a bad word, it's just that's what it is. People understand that, okay?
I say biohazard.
Biohazard. I agree. This project is being proposed by a private, for-profit organisation. At whose cost? The community's cost. The impact issues are many, and people will talk about these, but noise, community safety, contamination, chemical cleaning, pests, methane gas. Did everyone see the news last night? There was an explosion at the Eastern Creek West transfer station. Methane gas is 10 times more toxic than carbon dioxide. And this potentially is the case if materials are stockpiled overnight. The most disturbing issue for me is traffic. I refer to the consultant's plan, traffic solutions report, 18 pages of beautiful pictures, 1 page on traffic impact. It states there will be 120 truck movements. 120. Not a year, not a month, every day. 720 truck movements per week.
That railway bridge, that wasn't designed for that.
Exactly. Sorry, let me just finish, and then I suppose Paul will call for people to make comments. The facility will be open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. So you'll have to get up early if you want to get to where you want to go. Before 6. Before 6, I'd suggest. Don't know when you're going to come home, because you're going to be listening to how this plan operates over that period. Further, the same report, the vast majority of trucks in their own report, they're saying will come from the east. In other words, from Centenary Drive and Arthur Street and journey to Church. So they'll be coming from the east, and then get this, they'll be doing a right-hand turn into the facility. So they'll be waiting to turn right with the oncoming traffic. And can you imagine, these trucks are 20 metres long. They are huge. So they'll be holding up and waiting to turn right. The trucks will be coming from all over Sydney's road network and descending into our local residents' roads. We will be gridlocked, meaning we will not be able to move, given the traffic jam. 120 daily truck movements will create. These trucks, as I said, are huge. So I don't want to take up too much time. In summing up, we need better information, we need evidence. I refer to the Cumberland Council's Community Strategic Plan. Their number one priority, supporting community health, safety and well-being. And then further in the Cumberland 2030 report, the priority 2 action, improve transport options for Cumberland that are safe and reliable road networks for all users. 120 daily truck movements with cars is not safe. These are huge trucks. They don't mix. It's dangerous. We must oppose this dreadful proposal, and thank you so much for turning up today. Cheers.
Thanks, Tony. Comment up the back here.
Just to back up what the gent was saying.
We've got a mic here, I think.
It's all right, I'm ex-military. Just to back up what the gent was saying, it's putricide is the word you need to use. I heard biohazard and everything, but it's actually putricide. It's what they're trying, and that's why you have the methane, that's why you have everything coming off it. And Meriton, and I've noticed this because I've worked around here over 30 years, Meriton has built right up to it. Yeah. They actually got in the ground works happening right up to within a metre of the fence, right round the bottom of the hill road there. They're even undermining the fence.
Yeah.
They're already built up to it. So why are they moving that over to here when Church Street would be perfect for housing? We've got the redevelopment happening in the town centre, affordable housing. We're in a, where we live in Reed is actually the 4th highest rentals where people rent in the country. Why isn't it community-based housing when you've got the old Shell refinery just down there at the back of Rose Hill, where you've got it's already contaminated. Everything you were saying in the environmental, the site's already contaminated. They reckon it could take them 10 years to get that ready so that they can do anything with it, a marina or whatever, because it's on the wetland. Why don't they concrete it and put it there? It doesn't need to come like Parramatta Council passing off onto Cumberland Council. They get the rates, we get the shit.
I could have put that better myself. But your question raises, your statement raises more questions. This is a ridiculous place to put it. Waste transfer stations are put on the outskirts of the metropolitan area, not in the centre. When I was reading a document this morning, I saw their documentation is that they want it to be in the centre so it can service the surrounding councils. This is a money exercise, right? This is a grab for cash. This is an easy fix. Whack it in Lidcombe, no one will whinge. Okay? Yes, look at Shell. Even Shell has closed down their operation, right? Because it was deemed, and they're trying to fix up areas of Camellia because it's deemed not to be nice to have that sort of development there, right? But they want to put it in Lidcombe.
Yes, Mike, I can get it. like Paul said, we never have a meeting at Lidcombe, do we? It's always up Marylands and all that. I reckon it should have still been Organ Council. They ought to do away with Cumberland. It's too big of area and it's doing nothing. And like you said, we haven't even got a ward for Lidcombe. Is that right, Walt? Well, why haven't we got a ward? No, because we're only the bottom. It's all Marylands. You get the local rag, it's always talking about Marylands. You put a big roundabout over there. They're Phillip Park. It's stop signs both sides. It was not important. Well, who's going to do all the roadworks here? Like coming off the bridge, going towards the tip. It's all tracked up like I told you the other day on the phone, isn't it? Is that right? Did you take photos of it?
I've been down there.
Yeah, and it's treacherous, isn't it? It's dangerous. And who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that road? That bloke in the tip, he's going to pay for everything in the tip, isn't he? At least, like Jar, when he was here, he built the best looking units in Sydney, and look at now the council. Have a look at that building over there, it's like a cement slab. On Bridge Street. That's a disgrace, that one on Bridge Street. At least, he might have been corrupt. He built a beautiful unit up there. And I live near his house and he done a good job there too. He might have had a big wedding, but at least we're better off with Organ Council.
Well, I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree. The people who are going to pay for the roads to be fixed will be you.
Yeah, who's going to do it? The roads are bugging around here now, mate. You wouldn't even know where Pipiter is, would you? Do you know where Pipiter is? Where?
Off Church Street.
No, it's not, mate. It's over near Dairy Farmers, milk. Where Hawkins Avenue used to be. They used to sell papers there. So you don't know nothing about this area because you come from up there. Alright?
I do know where the Peter is.
Where?
I know where the railway line, the old railway.
You know where Pipiter is now?
I know where the railway line is.
You said up there.
Oh. Where am I?
You don't know where it is.
Depends which way we're facing, alright? But anyway, look, I don't pretend to be a Lidcombe or Organ expert, other than to say you've been swallowed up in the amalgamation.
How about got a ward down here? You've got plenty up there.
Absolutely.
And what's saying that the mob up there is going to look after us? You've got two councillors up there, Maryland's going to look after Lidcombe. They don't even know where Lidcombe is, I don't think.
I don't think they do either.
My name is Satnam Singh and I live in Lane Street. Just to point out, there is a rubbish tip in Converse at the stadium, Olympic Park, and it is only 2.5 kilometers away.
That's the one they're shutting down, mate.
They are shutting it down? That one should be on because there is no residential area there. I've seen the pit. That is news.
That is correct. It's shutting down, and this will take its place. And it'll be bigger and more extensive than what you had before. The question, Tony, in the middle. I've got Tony, then I've got this one.
Yeah, I haven't really got a question, but I've got a few comments. And firstly, the organic waste description for this facility is completely wrong. It's putrid waste, and that's what we should be saying. It's a putrid waste facility. It's stinky waste. Second thing is, this is not a new issue. This is an old issue. And if you go back to the early 2000s, there was a proposal to build a waste transfer station at Auburn and Clyde. It's now the Viola Waste Transfer Station. There was a court case about that, and the court case was won in the Land and Environment Court. Unfortunately, it was overturned by the state government at that time. Now that court case was won primarily on the issue that there was a cluster of waste facilities in this surrounding area. And you've got that facility there at Clyde Auburn, you've got actually 2 in Hill Road, you've got a liquid waste plant, which is really the stinky facility, and then you've got a recycling plant next door. 2 separate facilities. Then in Silverwater, you've got a medical waste incinerator just off Silverwater Road. Now, there are sites which are on the outside of our local government area. There's one at Chilora, just opposite where the old recycling facility used to be, which would be ideal for this sort of thing. And it's away from residential housing. Now, the whole process of the consultation, we can see, you know, that they're trying to hold back. And we need to make sure that that goes forward. And the only way it's going to go forward is if we have an input as residents. And we've got to maximise the number of objections. So what we actually need is people in the community who are capable to volunteer to help other people who are not able to put in submissions. And that's the only thing that's going to get the attention of the Sydney Central Planning Panel. If we get a huge number of submissions opposing this development. Otherwise it's going to sail through, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And what Tony has said is absolutely correct, right? Helen's attempted to put out documentation, asking people to make submissions. Your comment is, please help other people as well to make a submission. Kath?
I've just been listening to this and last night's news about an explosion or whatever.
Kathy, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Here we are, take mine.
Yeah, okay, that's quicker. I'm only going to talk for a minute, Helen. I have read the DA and the environmental impact study, and they're going to store diesel petrol on that site as well. Now today we're listening about methane gas, petrol, and there was that explosion or fire at one yesterday. That's one point I think has been missed, that the petrol is going to be stored there for the trucks to refuel.
That goes on. We had a question there, someone, sorry about that, go to.
Okay, just a couple of points. That gentleman that was talking about the roundabout down at Ostend Street, that was put in under state government because we got it listed as a black spot because we've had about 6 or 7 T-bone accidents there, so that wasn't a council issue. As for the planning, people have also got to look at the point. We've got a public school, we've got the Catholic school, which are going to fall within 600 metres of this plant, and you've got odour and everything these kids are going to have to be learning through. That's something else that needs to be raised. And correct me if I'm wrong, what I was reading from the documents, it only states the truck leaving the plant must turn left on Church Street. It doesn't mention about arriving, which means trucks arriving will come up Church Street, they will come up Burnie, and no doubt, as trucks have tended to do over the last few years, they will come straight up Ostend, straight through Delhi, because it is the direct route up to the train lines. So you need to also look at how they are arriving, not just the one-worded paragraph that states how they are leaving.
And quite frankly, I think we have awesome cowboys driving trucks. You know, you can have all the rules you like in the world. Go down Church Street now. You had 15 trucks end to end.
20.
Council put limits back on the streets that used to be on there, limiting the size of trucks. Because I know when the Olympics were here, there was a limit on truck sizes using residential streets, and they all disappeared.
You're right. And the roads they want to use are not designated for B doubles. So in order to address that, they're now bringing in 20 metre trucks, the size of nearly 2 front yards.
They need a 3-tonne limit.
Yeah.
10 wheelers.
Yeah. Question?
Thank you. I agree with all the other residents or people that have already spoken. I would like to also add, not only are there primary schools down in the locality, but I believe there's still a nursing home, aged care facility. Regarding the transportation with the turning, are the roads up to taking the weight constantly for those 6.5 days or whatever it is? The railway tracks, if they have to go underneath or over, will that delay the public transport there? Because I'm sure every resident that commutes will know that nearly every weekend over the last 10 or 15 years there's track works, and then those commuters to work or to social events are stuck. Regarding the other waste facilities, I think there's, by the sound of it, there's a fair share already in our proximity, so we don't need another. And taking rubbish from all of Sydney. And what happened to the one that used to be at Silverwater? I know it was closed many, many years ago, but what happened to that? We're behind the jail. It got rezoned. And, you know, we have Silverwater, which has a lot of industrial parks or industrial areas. This is just a cop-out. And maybe we should all get a current affair involved. They seem to get things done.
Good point.
Channel 9, everybody. Channel 9. Doesn't seem to hear any of the residents. Yeah, 2GB. Everybody get on the phone.
And I might add, just to pursue the point you made, in Church Street we've got the viaduct that goes out to Arthur Street. Can you imagine 2 20-metre trucks coming in different directions, trying to get underneath there? Huh? Just not possible. Not possible at all. Further comment? Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually been living in Lidcombe since the 70s. My grandparents started living in Lidcombe. And I think, you know, my fellow residents have a very good, you know, we all have very good solutions, right? So you guys actually making notes down and making sure that that's submitted and our voice is heard. I'm not sure if you're doing that, but I just want to make sure, because, you know, everyone has to say, everyone has very good points. Oh no. No, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, so I want to focus on a few things. One is the odour that this company is going to be causing. The development, not only the development, but also, you know, the ongoing operations, right? And I think that this is a real concern. I mean, you know, traffic and all that, it's a domino effect, right? And I think the main concern really is the health issues for our residents, respiratory problems. You know, we have a lot of elderlies, a lot of seniors living in the area, but not only that, a lot of young people, a lot of new families living in the area. You see the development there, what's that, Church Street? On the corner of Church and Batchel Avenue.
Density residential, like there's about 500 units quite close to it. I'm surprised if there's a body, I would be surprised if there's no body here to support the future residents of it. It's just right next to it. Right next to it. I wonder if there's someone that's developing that, or I think there's a government involvement. Where's the government in this? You know?
Well, and the government will have the numbers on this committee to make a decision.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Like, as Vivian was saying, like, sorry about that, you know. Yeah, I live right opposite it. It's probably 50 metres away in Dooleys Street, right on the corner of Dooleys Street. About 4 or 5 years ago, one of the councillors that retired, I believe I spoke to him about half an hour ago, with his help. And my communication, I went begging to our neighbours. I could only get 4 people to communicate with him. 4 people out of my street. There's 25, 30 residents there. The mandarin tree in your garden, it was black. The skin was black. Imagine our lungs. They had they had activity there right across where they were doing the construction. Material was coming there and they were crushing it. All that noise, all that dust, and one night they were coming patrolling the hours, and then they inspected the grounds. They were asbestos activities. And after that, they told them to shut down. Anyway,
I might add, you're right. I mean, the EIS in the main covers the operation of the thing when it's built. You know, this $4.9 million monster needs to be constructed. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the dust flying out of it?
Can you ask them to continue?
So the summary of that is respiratory problems, right? And that's a real issue. It's a real health concern issue. Not only that, you know, with all the rubbish, it's going to cause pests like rodents and insects. These pests, rodents, insects, they'll be carrying diseases and passing it on to our residents, right? So these are real concerns. And what my question is, how is this company's operations going to be regulated by the council and by the government? Because if you are going to approve such a development, such an operation, you must have guidelines, you must have policies. And I'm sure you're not ready for that. I'm 100% sure you're not ready for that.
My observation of Cumberland Council since it's been created, it doesn't have much idea of compliance. They will set conditions on this development if it got approved, and then council will be required to ensure that they comply. I don't, as I say, I don't have much faith in that sort of compliant operation happening on a daily basis, right? I mean, and I might add, a garbage truck only has to pass you by on the street, you know where it is. So, I've got a question.
Just a quick one here.
Yeah, quick one.
Yeah, and also the traffic, we can't complain about those two bridges because they can upgrade to 4 lanes. So the biggest problem is the smell and dust and the hazard thing rather than those.
The infrastructure has to be upgraded. I've got a question in the middle.
That's all right, I'll stand up. I'm just wondering what other people are saying, that we need to broaden this issue out, get media involved, etc. I'm just wondering, our local state representative, Linda Volz, is she here today?
She was invited.
Well, she hasn't turned up. She hasn't turned up. I mean, I've seen her on social media last night attending a netball game. Recently she's been standing up for the Palestinians. She's been to the commemoration service for the Mile Creek Massacre. All worthwhile causes, I'm sure. But here we are so concerned about an issue, and she's been invited. Hello, MIA, our state representative, decides not to turn up. Remember this at the next election.
Helen and I walked an invitation to the office on Thursday.
Well, I've written to Linda Volz about a few things over the last few months and still haven't received replies. Only a generic email to say that they've got the email. You know, and there she is, she's patting dogs in the park and she's at netball finals. But, you know, a serious community concern to bring out all these people. What, she's still in bed? I'm really annoyed, I tell you, because these bloody politicians, they get elected and then they just, they think it's like a social media event for them. They put themselves out on social media, here I am attending this and patting the dog, and yet when you get something like this, MIA.
Paul? Thank you. Thank you. We might give Linda a copy of it.
You won't get a reply.
Morning also, I think most points have been raised here. I think the odour and the health effects, that's probably something that, you know, we probably need to run through. Obviously we've got that big housing development off I think Church Street near the rail line. That would probably be impacted quite heavily. You know, property prices, you know, I don't think, you know, the offshot of this is, you know, for the traffic and all the pollution and all that, they'll, you know, impact our property market, property values in Lidcombe. That's something to consider as well. The other thing, a mate of mine who was looking for the LDP documentation and all that. My understanding is this development sits right next to an R3 zoning area, is that correct? Could someone confirm that for me?
Not far away.
You're not far away, because I looked at it myself as well. R3 actually prohibits environmental services as well. So I'm thinking, is that another angle we can go off? There's
only a bridge between the R3 and the industrial.
So that's something, yeah, because I think even though, you know, the traffic and all that, we can only do so much, but I think we can fight on, you know, the health effects, the odour. We've got a lot of schools, the nursing homes. You can only I can only imagine all the GP clinics in Lidcombe who are stretched already. Like, anyone who's been to a GP in Lidcombe, it's hard to get a bloody appointment and all that. So that's going to be an impact as well. And obviously the R3 zoning, right next to an R3 zoned area. Councillor as well, you mentioned how if there's 10 submissions to council, it triggers a consultation process. Do you have visibility how many submissions have we received so far?
The documentation I've read says that 5 have been received. Okay. However, I appreciate the fact that documentation now is 3 weeks old, all right? And since then, well, there's been a lot of work done. You know? Okay. There'd probably be 10 submissions in this room, I would think.
That doesn't mean.
We might just ask that. Who's made a submission at this point in time? So you've got 10 in the room. And, yeah.
Another 100 to go.
No, it can't be anonymous, and a petition counts as one. So it's got to be individual people who are making a statement or submission. Yes, we have a question here. One in the middle first.
We all agree it's bad for us. But what we need to do is having a strategic action plan to counteract this proposal. For example, what we do, say you write a petition for every street, you need 1 word, and get the whole street to sign a petition. One thing. Second thing, what you need is make your noise heard as much as possible. How? Media, Facebook, YouTube, Channel 9, Channel 7, etc., etc. You start up as much as possible. That's the only way to wake up this bullshit politician.
David, is this available on YouTube? What you do?
It will be uploaded.
It will be uploaded onto YouTube, right?
Yep.
Petitions, as I say, only count as one, and I appreciate the comment that we need as much public media about this as possible. Yes.
Tony spoke earlier and he said we need to get some submissions in. So a few of us had a little bit of a chat yesterday. So I've put together, with the assistance of one of the councillors, who has given me the correct information. I've also got a part on the submission for people to tell their own story. Get an individual submission, because if everybody puts in the same submission, it doesn't count. So I've got 900 of them here, and we're going to distribute them around the Lidcombe area close by where the tip is going to be. So I've also put a little covering letter there to ask people to photocopy it and to get everyone in their family to put a submission as well. So we should be able to get a few submissions from 1,000. We'll probably get, if we're lucky, we might get 5%. But all of you people here could do it. So I'm happy to hand them out. If you take them at home and get them printed, and if you've got 10 people living in your house, print 10 of them, and they all write their own story, and that's 10 individual submissions. Yep. That's a start.
Yep. Interesting that one of the other councillors has suddenly started to step up, given he'd done nothing for this entire period of time. I appreciate what you have just said, and any information out there is critical. What I do also have, though, is a flyer here at the front desk, probably insufficient for numbers. I've got about 50 or so. That is about the deadline to have your say, the time, the email address, the subject line, and then the information that you must include, because you cannot have an anonymous submission. And there's been lots of comments made so far, very different in different ways. And I did also have, just again for that same purpose, matters of concern, but this does not cover all concerns, but some issues for consideration. So again, if you're not quite sure about writing something or the how, it wouldn't be word for word, but it is just to help give you some ideas. But certainly other items have already been raised today, which is great to hear. So I do appreciate that somebody else has suddenly decided to do something, but it certainly has only been responsive to what we had already started and been damn well hard working on.
Can I suggest something?
Absolutely.
My English is not good enough, but please understand. We have heard all the impact on this rubbish tips on this area. So now we have to decide what to do. Not all the time discussion about the bad side or bad impact on this. How to solve this problem more logically. So we have to make a committee, because if you ask individually, there are so many Korean people living in this area, they don't understand. Even myself do not understand fully. So I suggest we make a committee, and every street, like Tony in Rawson Street, he can be charged on Rawson Street. And Mr. Young can be where he lives, in this street. So we have to organize, more systematically we have to against this project. Because the central planning panel or something like that, they have money and they have power. We have to strongly against it. We have to more systematically organized. Not like this, now talking doesn't make any sense, any difference. So we have to make a committee here, somebody who has idea and very energetic, find out 10 people or 15 people, helping councillor, and we have to against Councillor Linda Bolt, the Labour, and the other two Regent Park. This is mostly affecting more Regent Park. In Lidcombe is Regent Park. There are 3 councillors, only independent Helen Hughes acting, and the other 2 councillors, Labour Party, do not pay any attention and do not show their interest. So we have to talk about this to councillor too. And so like this, we have to make it a progress, and how we can against this central planning panel, how we can make it, what is the behind purpose of tipping all the time in the residential area in the central Sydney, like Silverwater, Lidcombe, Homebush. Why not they rubbish bin in the outskirts of the metropolitan area, as he said. So we have to say all the bad impact describing, and we have to give them alternative way. We have to give them the way where to go. Not all the time bad side. We have to give them idea. So we have
send it to Mary. Send it to Mary.
Yeah. So okay. So we have to organize. Okay. Let's do it. My English is not good enough, but I'm telling you, we have to be more systematically, more organizing. Okay? Understand it?
If someone from the Korean community would like to speak to me later, maybe you can get this submission translated into Korean for your community, because 20% of the people speak Korean.
We appreciate the comments that are made as well. Now we have a committee of about 5 people on it at the moment, right? Now if there's anyone who wants to put their shoulder to the wheel on this, right, please see us after the meeting, right? And we then can include those people, right? Happy to do that, not a problem.
Thank you.
Yes, Steve.
Okay, my name is Steve Young, former councillor, and now currently RSL Lidcombe branch president. So we are agree, actually we are no rubbish at the Lidcombe area because as you know, I am living actually here about 40 years Lidcombe area. Very peaceful area as well as very good healthy area, and the traffic area very good. So now problem we are rubbish tip organic waste station coming here. That we are very impacted. Firstly, environment and health and smelling and incinate, even all air contamination. That's why we are against to the rubbish station. So we hopefully sure we support Paul and Helen Councillor. So we make for supporting solve out for this problem. I think. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Look, I'd like to put forward a motion. Look, we need to get council doing some work in the meantime. This information that the proponents supplied is inadequate. There's so many holes, so many duplications we've heard. So I want to put forward a motion to this meeting that the General Manager provide a report to Council which will include a major study of traffic movements within and around the road network, within Lidcombe Road Network. Number 2, ensure the study covers all ingress and egress routes entering Lidcombe, including the town centre and its surrounds. Number 3, accurately determining the existing vehicular movements, including trucks, sizing and classification presently utilising Lidcombe Road networks, and intersection capabilities to handle such vehicles. Number 4, further that such a report provide projection of future capacity loads on the road network and their capability of handling increased capacity. And finally, highlight the necessity to maintain road repair and maintenance to the existing road network caused by an anticipated increase in road usage. We need the council to go and do some research.
Tony, the thing is, when you do the traffic, they will easily upgrade, and I would say they will give you the solution. So we consider about, rather than the traffic matter, we have to say the pollution and the smell, and that's why we have to more concentrate rather than traffic, because they will say the solution, they will upgrade the road, take the four-lane bridge and extend the bridge. So
I just want to respond to that, because I think they can come up with mitigation on all the other issues. Traffic is black and white. There's no way they can mitigate that.
Paul, my name's Robert. Just something real quick. In that EIS statement, what you'll see in the hours every day and Saturday is blasting. Think about it. You bought masks, you're going to have to buy earmuffs. They've got blasting in there. So, what are you going to do when they start blasting? They're going to shake your house like you wouldn't believe.
I'll have to look for a plot.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks for that. I didn't see that.
Could I ask you, can you ask the council to do proper traffic?
A proper traffic report that they take into consideration the anticipated cars that will be coming out of all of those new buildings along the train line. So it's a pretty simple way to do it, I would think, because a unit would have at least one car parking space. The other thing, I was of the understanding, Paul, that council, because of the SEP, can only adjudicate on development in relation to traffic. And whilst it's all, correct me if I'm wrong,
council can only...
Well, council can't knock back developments on any other reasons other than traffic, because the state government's taken the power away from all councils.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got to be so adamant about traffic.
I take the point you make. Council staff will assess the application. Part of that assessment will be traffic, a big part of it will be traffic, and also the assessment will deal with air quality and the environment. Believe me though, when you read that report and the fact that you see bullshit upon bullshit of documentation from experts are telling us that if they can put in an odourless cleaning system into the air, like they told us in August, right, they will say that that's adequate, right? But council does have to report on those things, right? But at least traffic is something that you can count, you know?
Can we stop that bloody high pitch there? One person has to turn their microphone off.
So anyway, traffic is something that council can count, but we will be looking at those other matters as well.
Council's primary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, traffic.
Yes.
So can I just say, this submission that we have put together is predominantly, primarily, absolutely actually, about traffic. It does talk about a small part about all of the other conditions that will occur, but it's about the traffic, because I believe that traffic's the only way we're going to win this.
This lady here.
This lady here had her hand up, please.
Can I also just suggest that council might need to look into all those people in those new apartments who have bought off the plan? Because they've bought off the plan on the premise of what is around them to suddenly find that they've got something that was never mentioned when they did, and their land values have gone down and they are going to be severely impacted. And I know when I raised this with Councillor Hughes, he said council doesn't have any idea that if they've been notified, but council needs to try and find a way to get hold of those people who bought off plan.
We have a...
I know I've spoken once before, but I didn't introduce myself. My name's Elizabeth. My family have been residents in this area for over 100 years. My father was the longest serving Lidcombe RSL president and vice president. But my question is this. You just mentioned a few moments ago when you spoke while you're over there, that you said that you already have a committee, and if anyone would like to add their name to that, who are these other committee members? Because in all honesty, the only person I've ever seen or heard from or walking the streets is Helen. She seems to be the only one doing anything. So, can you name them? Are they here? Will they stand up?
The committee people here that have rung up and said, listen, we don't mind doing something. David, Tony, over there, Graham,
We're just residents.
Lisa is there.
We're just local residents.
We're local residents.
What all those local residents? We need to introduce the committee members now. Who are the committee members? Can you stand up, please? We have to show, we have to find out who is working for us. It's just we all got together to get this all happening. Today so many people say opinion.
But can we just say that, sorry, at the end of the day, we're just residents like you. We're not politically aligned. It's not yeah, so that's the issue. So we need everyone to come on board here.
That's all. We need more people.
Hi, I live in Martin Street, so I have put up with a lot of noise with that new construction and noticed the increase of traffic. So first thing with traffic, on one of your points, if you wouldn't mind adding in to find out what is for them to conduct a health impact assessment.
A health
impact assessment that needs to be done that's based on physical health and mental health. And there needs to be a disclosure of a buffer zone where they can guarantee that that will not affect the residents. As far as the Cumberland Council, I can tell you now that they are not certified to, for example, 9001 requirements or 14001, which is environmental, which means that they do not have a proper structure of policies and procedures in place. So what does that mean? They're not being audited, okay? They're not being regulated like they should be because they are not certified. And for whatever reason, a lot of councils have moved away from certification. Okay, so and I work in the certification industry, so I can assure you they're not. And therefore, a lot of the policies and procedures will go under the bridge like running water, and we're just not going to have a say.
Thanks for that. Up the back.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I put in a submission, quite a long one. So I read the environmental impact statement, and I actually think it's a lot of rubbish. But I feel like everything that we put out there, whether it be traffic or whether it be pollution or air quality, they will have a comeback for us. I think they will say, you know, kind of like I found so-and-so from somewhere to say that it's all okay to go forward. So we actually need something that is really powerful to just wipe it out. And I think that what the gentleman said before that was sitting here, that R3 zoning, I don't know, Tony, if you could look into it, because that might be big enough for them to be like, okay, you can't build anything here because you're outside of the environment. The other thing I wanted to say was I know, because my kids go to the local school, that there's a lot of Asian people in the community that won't be able to read what Helen, you sent out in the letterbox drop. And so then I think that it's really hard to communicate to those older people that can't speak English. I think they'll see it and they'll just chuck it, and they also have a voice that should be heard as well, but they might not know about it. And I don't really know how to reach those people other than younger family members talking to them. But you know, that's something to think about, because a lot of people here aren't Australian background. They do have a different background, and they won't understand that they have a voice to say as well. And then the other question I wanted to say is, if it does go through, it gets all approved, can we take it down? Like, what's the next step? So we need to know what we need to do to get our voice heard to stop this going forward. If it does go forward and there's nothing we can do about it, it gets built, how can we take it down? Because the other ones got closed, how did they close? Is it because the people here forced it to close, or they just closed on it, you know, they just got like closing? Because what if it does go forward, then we need to have like a backup plan to make it close down. Thank you.
Look, Sarah, I agree with everything that you have just said, and with regards to the letter that I put out, it was because of the short turnaround time, and frequently, of course, on the council letters, they do have a QR code, and that's to go and look at the various languages the documents are in. I couldn't do it as a council document, because it's me, not council, and then also because I wasn't given the lead-up time that I was supposed to, so it was a really rapid turnaround. I put out 4,000 documents out there, so I could not get it, and that's why also on the letter I wrote, please share with people if you possibly can, or something along those lines. And I fully understand, and that was part of my concern at the outset, is how we have such a multicultural society, and we need to be able to make contact. I have been out doing things with staff on site on other issues, and I've said to them, you don't understand what this area is like. And they're even saying to me, wow, how do you cope here? This is hard. And I said, it is damn hard. So yes, having that is super difficult, and I really fully understand, and I do apologise that I can only put it out in English, but it was literally to be able to race around and put out, and Tony, Lisa, David, Paul and I put out 4,000 documents to try and get it out there as best we possibly could as a minimum. So yes, but the other items that you raised, they are all critical of importance, certainly.
Steve Smith, may I propose a rally or a march or placards? Would that be any help to anybody? I know it's quick and we haven't got a lot of time. Associated with the media. I just pose that.
I think we could. I think the bit like a rain dance, the success of a rain dance is in the timing. I think, yes, a rally would be appropriate, but you've got to remember, this decision will be made in the next 4 or 5 months, right? And I might add, I think when you read that document, there's opportunity there to seek further information and to have that extended. It's actually when you would do that, right? But it's a great idea, when we would do it, and also you've got to make sure you mobilise. I've had rallies against Woolworths and others in the past, where we've got them in South Granville, because of various matters. It's hard to mobilise the community, you need time to do that, and but it's a great idea. Tony? Well, sorry. Guy, sorry.
Some of you might know me, my name's Guy, I'm the Development Manager here at Dooleys Lidcombe. The club is obviously very concerned this proposal impacts the community, it impacts our members. We met with the developer of the new units adjacent to the site on Friday. They are very concerned, and I believe they will be assessing this and probably submitting some kind of consultation commentary. We, as a club, we're working through our own development plans with specialist consultants, transport engineers, acoustic engineers, and we have reached out to our team to request that the documentation package which is submitted with this DA is reviewed by our consultants. Some of these reports are very specialist and very niche, they're very hard to read, they're very hard to understand, they're very hard to question on a technical level. So the club has requested that our consultant team review the methodology, review the findings and the recommendations of these reports, the transport, the odour assessment, the acoustic assessment, so that we can actually assess what the basis of this application is. So the club is taking this seriously, and we are committed to finding out what the true impact of this proposal is on the community.
I wouldn't use the mics. Don't worry about the mics.
Then Tony, you're next.
Yeah, also here, there's a lot of Chinese and Koreans and Vietnamese in the area, but I couldn't see not many Chinese and Vietnamese and Koreans. I don't know how we can reach to them.
We've had a fair bit of comment about that. We'll try. Listen, time's getting away at the moment. We have a motion on the floor to undertake various studies from the council. Any further comment on the traffic matter at this point?
I just wanted to say there's no silver bullet apart from us. The number of submissions, the volume of the submissions is what is going to stop this proposal. Traffic, yeah, raise those in your submissions, pollution, everything is important, but what's going to have the impact is the volume, the number of submissions you get in. So if you talk to your neighbours, talk to your friends, all those organisations that are represented here, raise it in your organisation. Try and get your organisation to pass a resolution and even put in the submission. All that is important, and I'm prepared to volunteer to help people. If you want help writing a submission, I'm prepared to come to your place and help you write it. Okay?
Is there any further comment on the traffic issues? I was going to take on board, Tony, everything you say, right? We need to have submissions. We need that. Please, right? Really beg everyone to put pen to paper and put your thoughts onto a submission and get it in. Look, we've had a fair bit of discussion this morning, and at the moment on the floor we've got a recommendation that the General Manager of City Council, Cumberland Council, actually put together a traffic report. Any further comment on that? Out the back?
No, I'll second it.
It's been seconded. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Declare it carried. Against? Well done, thank you. We will move forward with that motion. Oh, yeah. Fine, it's okay. Yes. Fine.
Can I just say, if you live in Lidcombe, put your hand up, please. Okay. It's not that I'm being parochial, but I live in Lidcombe. I was born in Lidcombe. I've lived here all my life. So there's a lot of work gone into this, and I'd like to give one of these to all of you people who live in Lidcombe. But I ask you, don't just do one submission for yourself, but to get them printed out. And if you've got 10 members in your household, get 10 of them to put it out. So if all of you people honour what you stood for here today, we should get, what do you reckon?
10 different names though. Right?
Yeah. No, but,
For the family.
Yes, but even if all of you people alone, there's got to be 100 people in the room, isn't there? So there's 100, but I've printed out 1,000. I'll give one each to all of you, and then Kathy is going to organise for people to do some letterbox drops for us in the Lidcombe area, close as possible to the vicinity, and particularly between Phillip Park and the railway line. So I'll just hand them.
Tony, no, David, sorry.
Hello, John, thank you for turning up. It's come to my attention that there is a desire to raise another motion. I'm a local resident of Lidcombe for 20 years and I'm rather annoyed. We've been treated like mushrooms. They've kept us in the dark and now they're going to come along and dump biohazard on us. The motion that's been suggested that be raised is this: that this meeting of Lidcombe residents express our concern with the failure of Cumberland City Council to adequately engage with this community when carrying out the consultation process dealing with this DA. So the Council's 5 levels of public participation listed within its engagement strategy are inform, consult, involve, collaborate and empower. All nice words, aren't they? These were all sadly lacking when dealing with this DA. Further, Council's desire to promote transparent and meaningful community engagement, which is what we're doing here by ourselves, within an area that has 60% of the community speaking a language other than English, fails to deliver satisfactory outcomes. We call upon the Council to improve its engagement with local communities and to place into action the actual intent of its adopted engagement strategy of 2022. That's the motion that someone would like to raise, and I hereby raise that motion.
Thanks, David. That covers a lot of statements that have been made here today. Right? That's been seconded. Further discussion. I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one.
I think that gets to a point where today.
Please don't leave. This is the only decision we can make overnight. As you said, this area is multicultural background area. Many people don't understand what's going on in our area. So I suggest you have it and committee. I suggest you to elect like Koreans, more than 20% of the Koreans living. So Koreans should be a committee member and acting together. And petition is very important. Petition is very important. Please listen. This is important. We have many schools and churches around here. If you have children, if you can, I know, yes, okay. If you have children, make arrangement with your parents. School, you go to school and get the petition. We have many Korean churches here. I will make petition with my Korean through church because we go to church a lot of people at the same time.
do need to act, so we'll just leave it at that point. We do need to act. Thank you. We're almost at the end now, so thank you. If anybody wishes to stay for additional conversations, please, you're welcome to do so. It has gone longer than I hoped. Thank you for your participation. If you wish to be on the committee, come and join us. And also, of course, if you'd like to put out one of these pamphlets, which we've put out in a few places, you're also welcome to do so as well. You're quite around at the moment. So, thank you.
So this might be a bit out of place on one of those, but
Bella's number as well.
No, she's got her.
Oh, she's got her already. Yeah, cool. Oh.
We used to work with her.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just a local resident and I hang...
So am I.
Yeah, I'm rather annoyed by this whole thing. The collective action is the way to go, right? And I'll do what I can to help. Good. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming and speaking up soon. Appreciate it.